The film opens with a mysterious scene. A lonely young man slowly walks toward a loud, crowded party as if he's heading straight toward his destiny. Inside the party, the guests form their own little social circles. Chris is with his girlfriend Gemma, Alina stands beside Paul, and Luke plays the role of the dealer, smoothly passing drugs among friends. While Chris, Paul, and Luke surrender to the thrill of the moment, Felix enters the scene, a fragile figure, the constant victim of bullying, trying awkwardly to fit in. His eyes stay fixed on Gemma from afar, showing a sudden spark of admiration. Luke notices and hands him a secret dose of a strong stimulant, instantly transforming him from shy and quiet to bold and confident. In a secluded room, Alina and Paul share passionate kisses, but the moment shatters when Paul suddenly loses control under the influence of the drugs. At the same time, Felix, filled with newfound courage, walks up to Gemma and asks her out for a simple coffee. She gently turns him down, reminding him that she's with Chris. From upstairs, Alina watches with calculating eyes as if she's setting a trap no one else can see. Soon after, Alina comes down to the living room and starts a game of truth or dare to draw out secrets. When it's Felix's turn, he picks truth. Alina asks a question she's clearly prepared. If you had a free ticket to make love to any girl here, who would you choose? As expected, Felix answers Gemma. Chris explodes with anger, drags Felix outside, and punches him violently, driven by jealousy and contempt more than reason. Gemma storms off, furious at Chris's overreaction, and goes after Felix. At that tense moment, a strange man approaches Felix. The story jumps forward a month later. Chris and Luke are heading to Felix's house for his birthday party, while Alina, Gemma, and Paul travel in a separate car. Along the way, they come across an article about Felix's wealthy family, which instantly catches Alina's attention. Her own family is bankrupt, and she sees this trip as an opportunity she can't afford to miss. By now, Gemma has broken up with Chris because of the punch he threw at Felix that night. After a long drive through rough, twisting roads, they arrive at Felix's luxurious mansion. Chris and Luke get there first, where they're greeted by an old man who directs them to the real party, said to be in an old cabin about 800 yards away through a dense forest. Halfway there, the group runs into a muddy puddle. Alina, cold and composed, insists someone carry her so she doesn't ruin her new shoes, as if the world itself exists to serve her vanity. When they finally reach the cabin, they're surprised to find Justin, Felix's older brother. He tells them Felix isn't home, that he's in Chile volunteering at a hospital and got delayed by paperwork. Still, Justin welcomes them with suspicious generosity, serving fine food, strong drinks, and plenty of weed, as if he's preparing them for a show they'll never forget. During the party, a darker side of Justin begins to emerge. He isn't just an eccentric host, but a military officer who's just returned from Afghanistan, carrying in his eyes a harsh gaze and a clear bias against gay people. Justin starts directly questioning Chris about his relationship with Gemma, making Chris think Justin might be interested in her. But Justin quickly denies it in a humiliating tone, explaining that Gemma isn't his type and might be better suited for his younger brother, Felix. The comment carries more than one meaning and fills the room with unease. Justin suggests a game of truth or dare, as if opening the gates of hell. The bottle spins and lands first on Alina, who chooses dare. Chris, half joking, dares her to kiss Gemma in front of everyone. She does it without hesitation, leaving everyone in shock. The bottle spins again and lands on Gemma. She picks truth, and Chris immediately asks if she wants to get back together with him. She gives him a firm no, then in a deliberate move, Justin stops the bottle on himself. He chooses truth, but doesn't wait for a question. Instead, he drops a bombshell. Felix isn't in Chile. He hanged himself right here in this cabin above your heads. Alina laughs, thinking he's joking, but Justin continues with unbearable seriousness, describing the death in such detail that it's clear he's not lying. Paul, stunned, asks why they were invited. Justin answers that his goal is to find out what drove Felix to kill himself, referring to an incident that happened at the previous party a month ago. He then pulls out a postcard found in Felix's pocket and demands to know who sent it. Silence fills the room. Chris panics and insists on leaving, but Justin blocks his way. Chris tries to hit him, yet the soldier reacts with trained violence. In a desperate moment, Alina throws a bottle at Justin and is met with a brutal slap that sends her crashing to the floor. Justin then pulls out a gun and shoots Paul in the leg, not to kill, but to terrify them all. Justin orders Luke to arrange the chairs in a closed circle, as if preparing for an inescapable trial. Paul tries to use his phone, but Justin catches him and shoots his finger clean off. Justin forces Luke to collect all the phones, car keys, and personal belongings, throwing them into a toolbox full of weapons and grenades, as if he's been waiting for this night. Then he ties everyone's hands with strong duct tape, trapping them in a nightmare with no way out. Justin repeats his offer, one confession, just one, about who sent the postcard, and he'll let everyone go, but no one speaks. He gives them a few minutes to talk, then calls Luke outside the cabin. There, he asks directly if Luke sent the postcard. Luke firmly denies it, explaining he barely knew Felix and had only given him a mild stimulant to boost his confidence when talking to the girl he liked. Inside the cabin, chaos erupts among the remaining four. Fingers point at Chris since the words on the postcard resemble phrases he once said to Felix. Paul asks Gemma to bring something from the desk drawer, but as she moves, she stumbles, making a noise that draws Justin's attention. He storms back into the room immediately. Justin begins another round of truth or dare. The first turn lands on Gemma, who chooses truth. Justin asks, "Who do you think sent the postcard?" She hesitates, earning herself a hard slap. He repeats the question, his tone increasingly violent, until Gemma, trembling and terrified, points at Chris. Chris firmly denies the accusation and quickly asks when the card was sent to Felix. Justin replies that it was mailed from London on September 7. Chris responds that he was in Spain during that period for 3 full weeks, which rules out any direct involvement. However, Alina is not convinced by this explanation. She suspects that he might have assigned the task to his mother or someone else. This ignites a sharp conflict between them, exposing cracks in their trust that continue to grow under the weight of fear and suspicion. The game resumes, and this time Chris chooses dare. Justin leaves the room for a moment, then returns with something mysterious and places it next to Gemma. He straps Gemma to a chair and inserts a long tube into her mouth. It is an old device once used to extract confessions from prisoners through torture. In front of them are 2 bottles. One contains regular water and the other holds deadly battery acid. But of course, they have no idea which is which. Chris must pick one, or Justin will choose the bottle with the acid for him. Chris refuses to choose and instead insults Justin, calling him a psycho. But the threat grows harsher when Justin makes it clear that if Chris does not decide, the acid will be poured directly into Gemma's mouth. At last, Chris gives in and picks the bottle on the left. The liquid pours out, and luckily it is only water. When it is Justin's turn, he chooses truth. Gemma asks him why he chose these 5 people to gather in this abandoned place. He smiles coldly and reveals that their scratched photos had been hidden in Felix's room after a party they all attended a month earlier. When Alina's turn comes, she also chooses truth. But Justin twists the rules. He demands that she pick someone, either herself or one of the other 3, to face the next dare. Reluctantly, she chooses Chris. Moments later, Justin returns holding the same 2 bottles. Chris, now drained by terror, breaks down and confesses that he mailed the card before leaving for Spain. But the confession comes far too late, and in Justin's world, there is no room for excuses, only punishment. Paul explodes with anger and hurls vicious insults at Justin. He exposes a painful truth about Felix, calling him an outcast, lonely, and isolated. Then he recounts a moment from the previous party when he was kissing Alina in a side room and Felix suddenly appeared at the door, staring at them. Paul lashed out in fury, calling him gay, not as a truth but as a cruel attempt to humiliate him. Justin boils with rage and orders Paul to choose a bottle. Paul picks the one on the left, convinced it is the water. But this time the left bottle holds acid. In that instant, Chris's body collapses and he dies in unbearable pain. At the height of the chaos, Jaunty, a friend of Luke, appears. Luke had secretly called him to come to the cabin. Justin notices him and orders Luke to deal with him. Luke tries to convince Jaunty to leave, but he refuses. In a chilling gesture, Justin invites him inside, as if expanding the circle of hell. The tension rises as Justin forces Jaunty to take part in the game. But instead of obeying, Jaunty sprays a chemical into Justin's eyes, making him scream in agony. Amid the commotion, Gemma, still bound, struggles to pull out the drawer of her chair to reach for something, spilling its contents across the floor. Justin does not give Jaunty a chance to escape. He beats him brutally until he loses consciousness. In the background, Luke stands frozen, his hand touching the weapon in his pocket. He has the power to end the nightmare, but fear paralyzes him. He does nothing. After Justin forces Luke to aim the gun at Jaunty, Luke obeys with trembling hands, ending his friend's life under the weight of fear and cowardice. Meanwhile, Gemma quietly and slowly manages to cut through the tape binding her wrists using a small saw she found among the scattered contents of a drawer. Once free, she escapes through the cabin's back window and runs into the forest, leaving the cabin's nightmare behind. Inside the room, Paul asks Alina if she was the one who sent the card to Felix. In the middle of their conversation, it becomes clear that Alina was also about to free her hands. Soon after, Justin and Luke return, dragging Jaunty's body inside. Justin is shocked to find Gemma gone and immediately rushes out to search for her in the woods. Gemma reaches Felix's house after a terrifying journey through the forest, but a shocking surprise awaits her. Felix is still alive. He lies on his bed, pale and motionless, his eyes fixed on a computer screen showing live footage from the cabin's cameras, as if he's watching his friend's fate from an isolated world. An old caretaker appears behind her and explains that Felix survived a failed suicide attempt and that his condition is the result of severe psychological trauma. When the caretaker tries to shoot her, Gemma threatens to harm Felix, forcing him to back off temporarily. But he doesn't stay back for long, and soon a struggle breaks out between them, ending with a stray bullet fired from Gemma's hand hitting the caretaker in the head. At that very moment, Justin appears. He drags Gemma into Felix's room and ends her life in front of him with brutal violence, snapping her neck without mercy. The scene returns to the cabin. Alina begs Luke to release her and Paul, but he refuses, terrified of Justin. He justifies his betrayal by saying that obedience to Justin is his only way to survive, admitting that he killed Jonty himself and that Justin is the only one who can protect him from punishment. Alina tries to explain to Luke that Justin is searching for whoever sent the postcard to Felix. She insists that once Justin gets rid of Paul and Alina, he will kill Luke without hesitation. Suddenly, Alina falls silent, then looks at Luke with a sharp, accusing stare. She asks him directly if he was the one who sent the card to Felix. He hesitates, then confesses. It was just a stupid joke, he says, never imagining it would push Felix to attempt suicide. As Paul's condition worsens from blood loss, he begs Luke for help as a friend. But instead of helping, Luke takes drugs from Chris's pocket to calm his nerves and gives Paul a dose to ease his pain. Alina asks for a dose too, deliberately. When Luke puts his finger in her mouth, she bites down hard. He tries to grab her, but her hands are now free. She pushes him forcefully. He stumbles, falls, and dies. Alina picks up the gun and helps the weakened Paul out of the cabin through the back door. But Justin returns at the crucial moment. Alina fires a shot at him, hitting his shoulder. She tries to aim again, but he lunges at her and stabs her arm with a metal shard. They fight desperately until Alina smashes a battery acid bottle over his head. In the end, Alina ties Justin to a post, achieving a bitter moment of victory. While Paul waits in Justin's car, Alina opens the back door only to find Gemma's lifeless body hanging there. Alina goes back to the cabin one last time. She faces the bound Justin and reveals the truth that has been hidden all along. Felix's suicide attempt didn't happen after the party, but the night before his return from Afghanistan, before everything that followed. The card therefore wasn't the cause, it was the spark that drove Justin to investigate. Alina insists on revealing the full truth and finally exposes her dirty secret. After Chris punched Felix outside the party, Alina didn't just sympathize with Felix. She invited him to a room where Paul was asleep under the influence of alcohol. There, she seduced Felix into performing disturbing sexual acts with Paul while secretly recording every moment on camera. Her motive wasn't personal revenge but purely financial, because Felix's family was wealthy and her father's company was on the verge of bankruptcy. Later, she used the video as blackmail in an attempt to secure an investment to save her family's business from collapse, but it left Felix mentally shattered. Before leaving the cabin for the last time, Alina places a hand grenade in Felix's hand. He keeps staring at the screen, frozen between life and death. As Alina walks to the car with Paul beside her, Felix quietly pulls the pin. The cabin explodes with a violent blast, killing both brothers. Alina and Paul drive away in silence along the rough roads, the black smoke filling the horizon behind them. No victory, no justice, only a twisted kind of survival. And that's how the movie ends. If you like the recap, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a good night wherever you are, and see you in the next recap.